Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, good day. How are you? I hope all of you are fine. The Honorable Ms. Ria Yunita M.Pd as the lecturer of Instructional Strategies. Hello, my name is Masana and we are from Group 3. Today we are going to talk about production of instruction. So before we start, I will introduce to you the members of our group. They are Novita Anggraini, Oki Dayansyah, Putri Ayu Hafso, Putri Pratama Lestari, and Rahma Liliati. Well, so I would like to deliver to you the first material. It is about the production of print-based instruction. As we know, the last step of instructional strategy is the production of instructional material itself, which is known as lesson plan. That has been learned before, and then print-based instruction in traditional stage, they are selecting first is draft text and thumbnail illustration. The second is selecting the design, and then the third is creating a dummy, and then the fourth is create camera ready copy, and then the last is duplicating. Of course, we have reason to choose the print-based instruction. The reasons why use production of print-based instruction include its relative low cost to produce, low cost to duplicate, modest demands in terms of production equipment required, widespread availability of production knowledge, ease of distribution, and various instructional media attributes, and the last is including high image quality, probability, and ease of use. Well, the first step is drafting text and illustration. This step is where the writing begins. The draft should begin with an outlines, which the designer will have made during previous step of the instructional design process, and then this outline of the material to be written will be in the form of extended instructional events. Okay, the second is selecting or designing a grid. As instructional grid is an extension of a commonly used concept in instructional design, the text grid in multi-page documents, the placement of elements on a page needs a structure, and grid provides that structures. And then for the further specification of selecting or designing a grid should be in the form of the text, and then the font, and then the justification, also the rules that follow the blank page. And then the third is creating a dummy. Do you know what dummy is? A dummy is a layout draft, the designer's text copy, and now at a stage beyond the first draft, but still subject to revision. Previously, in the traditional phase, the dummy is created by pasting blocks of text and illustration into a place on master page. And then although rubber cement or wax can change it, and then now the computer generated dummy results when the designer finishes placing text and illustration in the computer file. The idea of making the dummy is to use the grid place the material. So it is also according to the development of technology. And then one special type of formative evaluation of printed materials is the evaluation of readability. Readability refers to an estimation of the level of text processing skill needed by the reader to be able to comprehend the text material at hand, like that. And then the next stage is creating camera or ready copy. After the dummy has been created and the formative evaluation has been accomplished, the camera ready copy is produced. Previously, it is very hard or so complicated to produce the ready copy because the structure should be should paste up and photograph with a large format of camera, and it is so complicated. On the other hand, in the creation of camera copy using desktop thumbnails is very easy and not consuming much time because of the camera copy is produced by printing out a final version. Well, the last stage of printed base material is the printing or duplicating. Camera copy is duplicated by some means appropriate to the number of copies that will be needed. By choosing the appropriate duplication process for duplicating the prints, significant economics of scale may be realized. Now, let's move to the production of computer-based and multimedia instruction. What does it mean? Okay. It means that a knowledge of instructional design and a basic understanding of the development and production process used for CBI or CBLE. CBI refers to computer-based instruction, and CBLE refers to computer-based learning environment. It is very suitable in this era of technology or in the digital platforms. And then computer materials for the educational and instructional use are developed using one of three types of tools. They are: first, general purpose programming languages; second, special purpose authoring languages and shells; third, the development tool option for creating instructional and educational software. And then the next part is developing functional flowchart. Do you know what is flowchart? A flowchart describes events and decisions is in a program in a algorithmic form. All of the events are present and there is no ambiguity as to what happens in each event. And by developing functional flowchart can be used to depict the structure, sequence, and decision in a CBI or computer-based instruction program before development begins. Flowcharts employ certain symbols for certain kinds of computer activity. Then the last part that I will explain to you is creating screen designs. What is it? Creating screen designs planning sheets are a useful tool for determining what each screen displays will contain and how the screen should look. Screen planning sheets are typically developed at the same time as the detail level of flowchart work, or it is also the same form of PowerPoint that we use to explain the material. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you very much for your good attention. Next, move to the next presenter. Bye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Novita Anggreni. So I will continue the explanation. It's about refining software drafts. Refining software drafts depends on the tool being used. With programming language, actual code is written, debugged, and revised. With the tutoring system, the framework is filled in with text, graphics, and other elements such as video clips, audio, and links. Support for plant-learner interaction is developed. In this phase, code development is painstaking and extremely time-consuming. Use of authoring system can be substantially less time-consuming, and those who have used a language or similar. The next is testing and revising the software. For example, inexperienced instructor may need very detailed instructor guides, while experienced instructors may not need such detailed material. The lesson plan itself should be thought of a document describing what the instructor should do or say within the context of goals for learning and the activities of learners. Not all teacher-led instruction involves the lecture, and instructional management activities are as important and appropriate for the lesson plan as are lecture notes. The next is about productions of instructional video. According to Geber 1989, video is one of the most widely used instructional formats, due in large measure to the common availability of VCRs and to the instructional medium attributes of television. There are three phases of video productions. The first is pre-production, the second is production, and the third is post-production. Okay, the next is about pre-production. The bulk of pre-production work needed for instructional video occurs in the analysis and instructional strategy planning found within the instructional design process. One particular pre-production technique that is unique to video or related media such as film is the use of storyboard scripts. A storyboard script function is related to the structure of video itself. Conventional video consists of a linear sequence of visual with an accompanying linear sequence of audio. Okay, the next is about video productions. Whatever the form of production selected, the goal is a product that has the qualities that associate with good video. These qualities beyond the obvious one of picture sharpness, lighting, stability, and clear audio include a critical aspect called visual paragraphing. There are two primary techniques of video productions. The first is studio productions, the second is single camera with editing. It's about post-productions. Post-production work needed for instructional video is included in the informative evaluation procedures generally applied in instructional design. In addition to the formative evaluation procedures, post-production activities for video include editing and distribution. So when creating multi-camera productions in a studio or distance education classroom, the control and execution of the transition from short to short may be considered a kind of editing. However, for linear video and interactive video production, post-production editing is used to assemble segments to make necessary adjustment to the audio and to add such finishing touches as titles and credits. The next is about productions of instructional video. According to Geber 1989, video is one of the most widely used instructional formats, due in large measure to the common availability of VCRs and to the instructional medium attributes of television. There are three phases of video productions. The first is pre-production, the second is production, and the third is post-production. Next is about developing instructor guides. Instructor guides should contain the material necessary for an instructor to successfully deliver the instruction. The exact nature of the material needed will depend on a number of factors, not the least of which are such instructor characteristics as subject matter knowledge and teaching skills or pedagogical training. For example, inexperienced instructors may need very detailed instructor guides, while experienced instructors may not need such detailed material. The next is about training the trainers. Without appropriate training, instructor may deliver poor instruction regardless of the quality of the materials. Although we are predominantly about the training of instructors for particular instructional tasks with regard to particular items or systems of instruction. The training of instructors may also include training that involves a broader frame of reference. So, in training the trainers, the experienced instructors are needed to train trainers. The last is about time and cost of productions. According to Lee and Zemke 1987, the broadest rule of thumb for development time was 40 hours of development time for each hour of instructions. I think that's all from our explanations. Thank you for watching and thank you for your participation. If you have any question, please feel free to ask to our group. See you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.